Alright, hi Phanjam. This is my video for you to figure out how to use the skill tree UI that I set up when I was working on the Blue Ribbon. So go ahead and open up skill tree LOE.layout, and go ahead and click over here. That'll give you one of the skills and take you right to where you need to be in the elements list. Okay, so let's use tree 2 and I'll show you how that works. So what's going on here is that right here is the column where you're going to see all of the skills unlock. First one right here, which is going to be skill 1, is going to be visible from level 1, and then once you invest 1 point in that first skill, the second one will show up. So starting off, you don't even know what's going to be in that second slot, and so on and so forth all the way down to the 5th skill. So let's go ahead and open up skill 1 and see what we've got in here. I've just got the button. It doesn't look anything like the vanilla UI from Torchlight 2. And this one, it just shows the icon for the skill. You click on it and it'll invest your point and it'll learn the skill for you. It's got a rollover that'll show you all of the important information. But that's pretty automatic. So the important stuff is going to be in these folders right here under the tree 2. And we've got these T2S1 add, T2S2 add, T2S2 check. And these are just stat operators or stat evaluators. So the operator is just setting a stat on the character, the player character. So for tree 2, I'm using the LOE skill tree 2 stat, and then I set it. Now this is in the skill tree shows folder, and so what all this stuff is going to do is it's going to determine whether or not to show the picture in our skill tree. So the T2S1 add, this operator is going to fire whenever a player clicks on that first icon. It's going to add 1 stat point to LOE skill tree 2. And then this evaluator down here, T2S2, is waiting for the character to have that 1 stat point into that stat, LOE skill tree 2, and then it's going to show up here on the menu. And then if you click the second skill to add a point to that, the T2S3 is going to enable the third skill there. It'll show it. So as long as you're not changing the setup here, you can just go ahead and click on tree 2 stalwart, and you can copy it and then paste it under scrollable pane here. And now I've got 2 of these guys. Let me just rename this one. Rename it tree 3. Phanjam tree. And I can go in here and I can just move this whole column, and all of the skills are already set up. All of the logic is already set up. So if I go in here, all of these stat evaluators and operators are going to work for the the skills in my new skill tree, which maybe I shouldn't call it skill tree 3 because I've already got one of those. 33 LAM. Alright. So let me show you the logic group here. Let me show you what's going on. So here we go. This green button here, that is skill 1. This T2S1 right there, that button, is the same one that we're working with in the logic group here. So when this guy's clicked, our T2S1 operator is going to add 1 point to that step. So this group right here, that's all they do. This just reads the button clicks and it adds the stat. On this side we've got the timer, which is very important to stat evaluators because it gives us a criteria for when to start the stat evaluation. This timer is floating out here on its own at the top level pretty much. And you can see over here it loops forever every 1 second. So every 1 second it's going to make all of these evaluators evaluate the stat to make sure to see if they should show the skill or not. And then over here we've got the skill image, not the button, because the image is higher up in the hierarchy. And if it evaluates as true, it'll show the skill. False, and it'll hide it. Now as long as the skill image is hidden, the skill button will be disabled because it's lower on the hierarchy than the image for the skill. Okay, the other important folder here is the Tree 2 skill unlocks. Now this is what you want, this is your stat requirements. So here we have just 5 stat evaluators. T2S1 requirement is of course going to be the requirement for our level 1 skill, our first skill right here, skill 1. And right now it's set to player magic stat, and my value down here is set to 0. So there is no requirement. This skill will always be shown, or always be unlocked, rather. But if I wanted it to require 15 focus, I could just put a 15 in there, and now your character has to have at least 15 focus to invest a point into that skill. It's not a perfect system. If they respec, they can invest in the skill and then drop their stat points back down and change it again, but I'm not too worried about that. Alright, so let's go ahead and open up the logic group there. So again we have the timer triggering all of these evaluators. So here we've got our Tree 2 skill 1 requirement. So every 1 second it'll check to see if the player has 15 or more focus. 15 or more, because look here. On the evaluator it says greater than or equal to. You gotta make sure that's correct. And then if the stat is evaluated to be true, it enables skill 1. What the enable and disable do here is that if you disable the element, in this case the whole skill, including the image and the button, it means that you won't be able to interact with it with your mouse. So you can't click on it, and you can't invest a point there. You can still get the rollover because that's a separate thing. Okay, so if you wanted to add stat requirements to your skills, it'd be pretty easy. And the stats you want to use over here are player magic stat, player strength stat, player defense stat, and player dexterity stat. And then, if you want to use vanilla skills, what you do is you just go here to skill 1, and it's just like working on, the destroyer. Under the widget name here, you put in the skill name for the skill that you want there. If you want me to show you any more about how to rearrange this or anything like that, give me another holler, but I think this should do it for now. Alright, there you go, man. Good luck.